Hi there, my name is Tanisha. Welcome to Tanisha Cooks. Today we'll be making a black forest cake using a very classical chocolate sponge cake. But before we start, preheat your oven to 390 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 198 degrees Celsius, and have a big pot of boiling water ready. So these are the ingredients that you will need to make the cake. 5 eggs, 120 grams of sugar, 22 grams of butter, which is melted, 105 grams of cake flour, which is a special flour which has baking powder and salt in it, and cocoa powder about 30 grams. Also, for decoration and flavoring part, you're going to need a solid chocolate bar, some maraschino cherries, and some whipped cream. So before we start our baking and everything, first we have to get your cake pan ready. What I have here is called a springform pan. This one has a little buckle here which releases, and it's pretty easy for the cake because it just comes out right away and easy to clean too. So I'm just going to pop it back in. So what you do is take a little bit of butter and you just rub the inside and the bottom part too. Alright, so now our pan is buttered. Now we're going to toss some flour in there. So just drop a little bit of flour in there and you just shake it up and cover all around the sides and the bottom area. Do it over the sink. Just coat everything inside and then turn it upside down and tap all the extra flour out. Alright? So now our cake pan is all ready and done. We're just going to set it aside and work on our cake. So I'll be using a KitchenAid. This is my KitchenAid bowl. In this bowl, put all your 5 eggs in there. All the 5 eggs are in there. Now we're going to add in all the sugar. And we're just going to whisk it in. And just whisk it in and mix it with all the eggs and the sugar in there. Now this is the part where we need our pot of boiling water. So here I have my pot of boiling water. I also have my KitchenAid ready because I will show you what happens. First you have the mixture of egg and sugar. It goes on top of the boiling water and you keep whisking it until it becomes really light and all the sugar is melted. Also the eggs will look a little bit frothy. Now this is done. Another way to done is you stick your finger in there and it should feel as hot as like your bath water. Then you know it's done. So I'm just gonna turn this off and then pop this in to my KitchenAid with a whisk attachment. Now if you don't have a KitchenAid, you can use a normal hand whisk and you just keep whisking it at high speed until it doubles up in size. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like before we start whisking it. So this is the mixture. It's all in there. Now I'm going to turn on the KitchenAid at low speed and then go up high. And now I know it's done because it stopped climbing up around the sides and you don't want to overbeat it. Now this process will take a lot of time, but be patient and keep it at a steady speed. Now we're going to move on to finishing it off. Now this is the finished egg and sugar mixture. Hold on to the whisk because you will need it later on. So now we're going to add in our butter, just right here. Now we're going to add in our flour and cocoa. For this you're going to need a sifter. You can use a strainer like this, or you can have something fancy like this one here, which I'm going to use. This is really easy to use and it's really handy to have. So what I did is I just poured in the cocoa with the cake flour there. Now I'm going to pour in the mixture of flour and cocoa. And then sift it all over and add it in there. just adding in the cocoa powder like this makes it easier. Cocoa powder and flour together makes it easier to actually mix it in. Now that's all our cocoa powder and flour. Now we're going to use a whisk to actually fold it in. So like before, go up and under, and you just mix it in. Do not over mix, or else your cake will become a frisbee. Which is fun if you have a dog and you can play with the dog with that frisbee. Now that is what our mixture looked like. Now we're gonna go ahead and put it all in our cake pan right here. Okay, so this cake batter actually makes an 8-inch one. My pan is 9-inch, but let's see if it will do the job. So now it goes into the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. Do not open the oven door or else the cake will just go down. So into the oven it goes. So we're going to get the other stuff ready while our cake is baking. So what we need to do is we have to make some whipped cream, but before we do that, it's good to start with a really cold bowl. Since my bowl is not that cold, I'm actually going to stick it in the fridge and wait until it's cold. While we're waiting, I'm going to show you how to make some chocolate shavings. So now we're going to be making our chocolate shavings. Have a paring knife and your bar of chocolate right here, and just scrape it like so. Just be careful not to scrape it too deep or else you get chunks of chocolate. Now these are my chocolate shavings. Remember not to touch the shavings because they will actually melt on your hand, and yeah, work with the chocolate as fast as you can. So there you go, there's a bowl of chocolate shavings that I made. Now remember not to touch these because they'll melt and they'll become an ugly looking chocolate mush. So now our bowl is nice and cold, we're going to start making the whipped cream. So now we have the whipped cream in the bowl ready to go. Now for sugar, you can add as much as you want. It depends on how sweet you want the whipped cream to be. I'm only going to add a cup because I don't want to make it that sweet. So you're going to add the sugar a little bit at a time, just sprinkle in a little bit while you're whipping up your whipped cream right here. So we're going to start right now. So this is my finished whipped cream. It's all nice and thick and stiff, and that's how you want it because you're going to actually fill it inside in between the cake layers of the cake, and you're also going to decorate outside the cake. So we're just going to stick the finished whipped cream in the fridge and keep it cold, and we're going to check on our cake now. So this is our finished cake. As you can see, it didn't really rise up much, so it's much better if you have like an 8-inch or 7-inch pan and you make it in there, then you get a much taller cake. So now we're just going to take it out of the pan, and that's what it is. It's still hot, so you want to let it cool down completely before we start decorating everything. So now my cake is nice and cold already. We are going to actually trim it. We're just going to take the little top off a little bit, just smooth it down and make it even. Use a serrated knife for this job. Now this is all ready to go. Now we're cut it into 3 equal pieces if possible. If you're just getting like this, it will be hard, but try. If not, if it doesn't happen, then just make 2. So I'm going to try to make it 3 even layers. So as you can see, I have 3 layers done. Now take the cake pan that you baked your cake in, flip it over and use it as a base for your cake. Put the first layer on, the one on the bottom part, and you're going to brush on this mixture of sugar and water like a simple syrup. And I put coffee in it, just I like the flavor of coffee. You can put anything, other flavor that you like orange, cherry, almonds, or you can put alcohol in it too. So what you're going to do is take that syrup and you're just going to brush it on to moisten the cake. Don't put too much in and soak the cake because it will go soggy and just fall apart and not taste good anymore. Now here we have the whipped cream that we made ahead. You're going to need a piping bag. So I'm just going to fill the whipped cream in the piping bag. So whipped cream is in the piping bag. I'm using a fairly medium to large star tip, and what we're going to do is we're just going to pipe it on, go close to the edge as possible. So that's all the whipped cream piped on top of the cake. Now we're going to drop in our maraschino cherries. This one depends how many you want. I just don't put a lot. Just pop it on like so. And then you add in your next layer. For this layer, you also, before you put it on, you actually want to brush on the syrup that you have. Now repeat the same step as you did before. Pipe the whipped cream on top and then the cherries. So now we're at the very top layer. Now you have to pipe the whipped cream all the way around and make sure it looks pretty because it's the top layer. Alright, so the whipped cream is on the top. Now here comes the tricky part. You're going to need a spatula or something flat. And what we're going to do is put whipped cream all the way around the side. Not a very thick layer, a very thin layer, so we can hide all that ugliness. And we can cover it with chocolate too. So we start, what you can do is if you have some in a piping bag, you can just pipe some like that. And then smooth it out later with the spatula. So as you can see, it's all smoothed down on top and around the side. I did as much as I can, and it will be hard with the whipped cream. So you just cover it on the side, and now we have the chocolate. So what we're going to do is use a spoon and first do the sides and mush it on. Now another way you can do is, because you have the cake pan, you can actually hold it on your hand like so and kind of tilt it so all the chocolate falls off on the bowl and you can use it again. So as you can see, we can do it this way, and it's going to take a lot of time. So there you go, that's pretty much what I ended up with. I wish I had bigger chocolate shavings so it actually would stick better and look better. So now what we're going to do is take the rest of the chocolate shavings and just sprinkle it on the top. So I just put the chocolate shavings mostly in the middle because we're actually going to make little flower roses on this, or all around the top here. So have your piping bag again and fill it up with whipped cream. So I have my piping bag ready with whipped cream. Now I'm going to pipe little spirals on the corners. So there you go, all my spirals are done. Now I'm going to top it with cherries once again. So there you go, it's all topped with cherries. Now if you have some more chocolate shavings left over like I do, you can just dump it all in the middle. So that's how you make Black Forest cake, well, the way that I make it. This lovely cake here. Now you can kind of cheat and buy one of those chocolate cake in a box. You know, whatever floats your boat. And hope you guys like this. Visit my website, tanishacooks.com, for other stuff that is not on YouTube here. And see you guys next time.